Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Sisters Corner. With me today I have my amazing and inspirational sister Uzma Ashfaq, who's been an educationalist and a school administrator for over 30 years and is yet very, very young and energised about her role and position in society. Mashallah, and has been living in the UK, making a home for herself and her family here, as well as helping to educate people in different guises on different social issues. So once again, sister, welcome and thank you for giving us your valuable time.
Thank you very much.
And it was absolutely a joy talking to you before the break, learning about your experiences in Pakistan. So you came to England to as a skilled migrant for to partly help your children in their studies and their education. So what did you do? How were you keeping yourself busy in those early days of being in the UK?
Yeah, when we came over here, so Alhamdulillah again, with the grace of God, I got the job in a school. So I used to do teaching over here for I think more than 7 years. And then once I heard a radio, and when you are in another country, you miss your language, you miss your people. So this is what I felt at that time. So I heard a radio and then I thought, why shouldn't I go there? I can do it. Yeah. So I did audition. So I was passed, and then I started my career as a radio presenter. Fantastic. So that was a different field.
Yeah, completely.
But I really enjoyed it. It's been more than 10 years now.
Mashallah.
I'm doing shows.
And you've stayed with it. Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Fabulous. And I think that's pretty amazing, isn't it? Because lots of people will hear a radio show and just become a fan of the radio show, not decide to go off and go, I can do that. And that is, alhamdulillah, you've got joie de vivre, so you've got a real zest, a real energy for life.
Oh yes.
And
yes.
You want to make the best of it. So what kind of things do you talk about on your show?
Actually, I do 2 shows, Monday and Tuesday. So on Monday, it's a different show because what I want, I try my levels best. What I do know, I should deliver it to, I should pass it on to the people who are listening, my listeners. So this is like that. And on Tuesday, I do talk show. And I do talk about different social issues, socio-economical issues, people face. And that is another, I think, it's a platform to educate people, to warn them and, to know their problems and how do they feel, their point of views. So this is like that. People, call us on air, we take calls, and then they give us their point of view. And then I sum up, at the end.
Yeah, fantastic. So what kind of things have you spoken about? What kind of topics?
Topics are different. Like today's topic was about, these functions, the marriage ceremonies, like tolkis and all those stuff, walimas, and we, spend a lot of money over there. That is useless in my point of view. So, it should be balanced. That was the topic today, that how should we spend and how much should we spend on these, ceremonies and all these functions. Before the actual wedding. Yes, before wedding, after wedding, and we get hire cars and spend a lot of money over there. One caller, he was telling me that on a wedding there was a cake, and that cake cost them 1,500 pounds. And another caller was telling that one of their relative, the lady, she bought the shoes for 500 pounds. So these are the things, those should be addressed.
Yeah, absolutely, because Islamically we are encouraged to be moderate.
Exactly.
In everything, and balance, and excessive spending, especially if you don't have the money.
Yeah.
Because lots of people end up in debt for many years, don't they?
They do. They do.
Yeah,
and they have to pay, the money with interest on the top.
Which again, we're not supposed to do.
Exactly.
So,
and the situation is getting worse day by day.
And I've heard a few horror stories where people have spent £100,000 on a wedding because they can kind of afford it, still had to get into debt, but still could kind of afford it. So these, the couple I'm thinking about were both sort of solicitor and barrister, so they could. But the marriage broke down after 3 days.
So
So
it's just show off, I think. It's just show off, you know.
And probably the stress of organising something and spending that much money, who knows, but it is show off actually.
Yeah.
But that sounds like another topic we could talk about another time, but we're talking about you at the moment.
Right.
Fantastic. So the other thing that you do, Uzma, which I'm fascinated about, and I presume you get to talk about on your show, is you're also a published author, a poet. So how did you get into that?
I do remember when I was in year 10, so I thought I can write something, and I started writing from the age of, you know, I was 13, 14, so, but I wasn't serious at that time. So after that, in the age of 20s, then I started, okay, I should take it seriously and I should write down, you know, whatever I think. So poetry, that was my main interest. So I started down poems and poetry, and then after, it's been 5-6 years now, my first book that was published in Pakistan.
Oh, mashallah.
So because I do read a lot and I love fiction, in fiction, poetry, prose, both, because you learn a lot.
Absolutely.
When you're reading books, you know, it's a different word. You enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I love. I mean, I obviously don't write in Urdu, but you know, I do dabble. I say I'm a dabbler. I do dabble in poetry. But for me, it serves the purpose of, you know, when you're trying to make sense of the world and something's happening and you're not sure what you're feeling about it. So I find when I write, I can get right to the heart of what's bothering me, or what is causing me joy, actually, you know, and that really helps me. So it's almost like therapy. I do share it with people.
It is your catharsis, you know, your feelings.
Yeah,
it is.
Absolutely. So what kind of subject matters do you address in your poetry?
You know, all your feelings. A woman, how does she feel? What does she feel and why? So all these things, love and the word, the nature, actually. And for the last 4 or 5 years, as I was telling you, you know, off air, that my interest is now my religion. That, you know, everyone should know about the religion. What is it? So I'm trying my level's best to understand it properly. So some of my poems, they do, like it was Shab-e-Maraj about 3-4 days ago.
Yes, it was.
So I used to write a poem 5-6 years back.
Right.
So I do write whatever, you know, it's in my mind.
It's inspirational.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, and you know, in a few minutes we'll hear more from that, because my poetry is similar. It's odd, so I react a lot to the world, and like I said, I'm processing things. So we'll talk about the immigration crisis. I'll talk about, you know, refugees, etc., or I write about them because I'm feeling something about it at the time.
Right.
But then also
mine is more personal, though, you can say. Yeah.
And then there's also nature features quite a bit. So when I was working in London, the sights and sounds and smells, but actually it's in those sights and sounds and smells I was seeing the hand of God. So, you know, and the creator in the creation, and it's deeply spiritual, isn't it? So if you just if you just skip across these things, you don't feel in that way. And then I think the writing gives you time to process what you've experienced and actually wonder and awe, you know, in the way we should actually, and be grateful for our existence as well. So that sounds fascinating. You do write in Urdu, so if you're okay, my dear, I'd like to invite you to share a poem or two with our readers.
Right, okay, sure.
So
this is my book, and the title of the book is in Urdu. It's Raat Hawa Jungle or Jugnu. That is the title of the book. And one poem is about मोहब्बत. मोहब्बत ही पे दुनिया कायम है और सब कुछ है. तो it says कि मोहब्बत ख्वाब की सूरत, मोहब्बत ख्वाब की सूरत किसी महताब की सूरत, उतरती है निगाहों में तो कितने फूल खिलते हैं, तो कितने अनकहे नगमे फिजाओं में बिखरते हैं, गुलाबी शाम से लम्हे हवाओं में निखरते हैं. मोहब्बत अलवही जज्बा है जो खुद से उतरता है दिलों पे, रूह को बेदार करता है, सुहाने गीत बनके धड़कनों में यूं उतरता है कि मदहोशी के आलम में फ़कत महबूब का दीदार होता है, लबों पर प्यार की मुस्कान आँखों में चमक बेदार करता है. ये ईसा को कभी सूली चढ़ाता है, कभी सहरा के दरिया पार करता है, कि इब्राहीम को डलवा के आतिश में फिर उस आतिश को ये खुद ही गुलो गुलजार करता है। कभी फरहाद से उठवा के तीशा ये पहाड़ों के जिगर को पाश करता है। कभी मजनू बनाता है किसी को और कभी रुस्वाइयों के खंजर दिल में पार करता है। कभी लैला को कर देता है रुस्वा और कहीं रांझे को दर दर खार करता है। मोहब्बत ऐसा जज्बा है कि जिस पर वार करता है उसे जीने नहीं देता, ना उसको मरने देता है।
Mashallah.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
And you read it so well. Now, it's no secret, I'm not a native Urdu speaker,
Okay.
but even then, I understood enough to get, you know, the references.
Did you understand?
I did understand a lot of it.
Okay.
And obviously, you know, your final couplet there about, you know, love not letting you live or die in peace, you know.
Oh, yes.
That is beautiful though, isn't it? Because it's a blessing and a curse.
So your Urdu is good, okay. If you can understand this Urdu.
My Urdu teacher would be so proud of me now.
No doubt.
Because I did try to do Urdu GCSE. I wasn't very good at it. I'm naturally curious and I love language. So my degree was English and communication, so I do love the process of, you know, language and all of that. And absolutely, and it is beautiful. And Urdu does sound, and same like with, in my mother tongue is Bangla, so I don't actually write in it, but it does sound beautiful when you hear poetry and things.
It's a beautiful,
it's very
language.
lyrical, isn't it?
Very sweet language.
Yeah, and same with Urdu, it just sounds so, it sounds so elegant.
Elegant, and it's a very civilized language.
Yeah, and
if you you know use proper Urdu,
absolutely,
it's a very civilized language.
And it's very genteel and it's very polite, isn't it? It is beautiful, and which is interesting. Just going back to what you said before about wanting to join the radio show so you could speak your language, because the other thing, clearly English is my strongest language, but what I do advocate strongly now in our children and our families is with language comes cultural transmission, so you actually learn about culture through language. So if you don't learn the language, you miss things. So there are concepts that don't translate directly into English, and you do kind of miss it. So it's really important, if you live in this country, you learn English, you speak English, absolutely is 100% important. But we are also blessed to have this other whole culture, whole world at our feet almost, and if we lose that language, we miss that as well, don't we?
Yeah, so it is. I think it's very important to know your own language. Yeah, English is fine, you know, if you're living in a country like this, so you should use English, but you must know your own language as well.
Absolutely, and it is how you connect as well to the generations. You do connect with history.
The whole civilization, you can transfer it through your language.
Completely. After I finished university, I went to do an A-level in Bangla, and the reason I did it is because I thought, alhamdulillah, I can try, most things I try, alhamdulillah, I can do, you know, some level of success. But then actually I don't speak my mother tongue very well, so this is why I went. And actually that is the first time where I almost had a formal history lesson in the country of my parents, you know, and how all that came. So this is where I became really, really an advocate for the language, in terms of if we can't speak the language, then how can we learn about the history and the concepts, and it's not quite so real.
And you can't communicate, you know, with your own people if you don't know your own language.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's very, very important.
Yeah. My Bangla got so much better that at some weddings now, I could hold a whole conversation in Bangla without any English, which is my test, my measure, because when I was 16, I used to speak 2 words Bangla and everything else was English.
I think it's responsibility of the parents.
Yeah, my mum, bless her, she tried. She did send us to Bangla classes to learn. But you know, when you've got siblings, because I was one of the younger ones, you all just start speaking English, don't you? So anyway.
At our home, my children, they can't use English at home.
Oh, wow.
Yes, they need to use Urdu. We speak Urdu at home. We don't speak English.
Yeah.
So alhamdulillah, they are fine. They are quite fine, mashallah.
Yeah, and they'll be able to speak both comfortably anyway.
Yeah.
And it is really important. It's
yes,
just,
it is.
I think
you
sometimes
should be bilingual or multilingual. It's a blessing.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing culturally. It's a blessing in terms of connection to family members, and you know, to lots of concepts and good ways of being, because you know, sometimes we associate, you know, some of our countries of origin as third world developing countries, but actually in terms of if you think about Urdu poetry, art, literature, you know, that was like thousands of years in the making. It's
Yes.
not a developing country in that sense. They're at the forefront in some areas, so we lose that, don't we, sometimes?
Very, very rich countries we are.
Yeah, and we've been told otherwise for too long, and we need to claim that back
Yeah.
and own our heritage, I think. So, would you read us another poem, please?
Yes, and it's about women. It's
Okay.
about Aurat, and it's the title is Wahri Aurat. Wahri Aurat teri zaat, Wahri Aurat teri zaat, पिन्हा तुझ में कितने राज, कभी न खोले लब तू लेकिन आंसू कह दे हर एक बात, हर दुख सहकर हंस देती है, जिंदा है मुर्दों के साथ, एक अनजान पहेली है तू, कोई न जाने तेरी घात, माँ है तो सब्रो वफा की देवी, बेटी है तो इफ़्फ़त व आब, बीवी है तो दे कुर्बानी, बहन है तो बन जाए लाज, अपनी दुनिया में रहती है देकर इस दुनिया को मात, अपने दिल की रानी है तू, बाहर तेरी न कोई ज़ात, वाहरी औरत तेरी ज़ात. Thank
That
you.
was beautiful.
Thank you.
And there's just so much
Jazakallah.
richness in there, and I love. I'm going to say your writing must be brilliant because I do understand more of it than I thought I would.
Okay.
But there's a bit in there. Correct me if I'm wrong. But where you're saying women without speaking, they may not say anything, but their
tears, yeah.
tell
The smile
tell
can tell
stories.
the whole
Yeah.
story. Yeah.
So women can be expressive, and I think there's lots of people in the world who'll agree that women don't have. In fact, somehow are communicating more strongly when they don't say anything. You know,
Yeah.
silence is golden, but silence
is.
in a woman is also very lethal as well.
And every
And
woman, you know,
dangerous, yeah.
they have their own word. They live in their own fantasy. I
Yeah.
do believe.
Yeah,
I do believe.
they live in their own world.
Yeah.
And just at the bottom there, just at the end, you were saying the woman is queen, and then
Of her
she's
own,
of
yeah.
her own thing. And that final point of that last sentence, repeat that for me, please.
अपने दिल की रानी है तू, बाहर तेरी कोई ना ज़ात.
So she's an individual.
People don't recognize ladies most of the time.
Yeah. Oh,
They don't
yeah.
acknowledge them. Yeah.
Which is a shame because there is, in the Prophet's example, if we were to follow, women were absolutely, you know, Islamically liberated by Islam,
Yeah.
awarded rights and freedoms by Islam, respect and honour.
Yes.
So it's a shame, unfortunately, when in some of our cultural practices we don't, you know, recognise that. And I have this conversation because it's not just in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, or Saudi Arabia, it's right across the world. The world is still largely a patriarchy, so it is men who sort of govern, men who rule. And I have this saying, you know, if God gives you comfort, so if a man has a woman who will serve him and do everything, why would he change that system?
Yeah.
You know, generally. And those men who do, it's because they recognise a fairer society is better for everyone ultimately. But generally there will be people who go,
It's our interpretation. You know, we interpret Islam very wrongly.
we take
You know, Hazrat
the,
Aisha Siddiqa's example, as you said, that's in front of us.
Yeah.
You know, she used to teach Sahaba Karam, but
And-
we don't acknowledge ladies. Most of the people, not all of them,
Yeah.
obviously, but most of the men, they don't want women or ladies, their own ladies, to go ahead, to go forward, because I think they are scared of themselves.
it's a shame that, isn't it? Because
It's a tragedy of,
Yeah, you know-
especially in Asian society.
our concept of honour has got mixed up, hasn't it?
Yes.
So
Yes.
where your family, your dad will be feeling honour because you are an educationalist and you're inspirational and you're doing all this work, and he'll feel pride in you because of your achievements.
Oh, you remind me of very, you know, one of my friend. She went to Pakistan from here, and at that time, my late father, Allah Ta'ala, Jannatul Firdaus mein jagah ata farmaye, he was alive. So I asked her to go and meet my parents. She went over there. She met my father, and would you believe my father? What did he say to her? He said about me, "I'm proud of my daughter." That's Amazing.
Yeah, and that's priceless, isn't
That
it?
that is that
Yeah.
is that is.
And that's what I'm saying. So the honour your dad showed wasn't that you're my daughter, you must not bring Bezati on my family. It was you're my honour, you are bringing Noor on my
And we are
family and bringing light.
sisters
Yeah.
and 4 brothers.
MashaAllah.
I'm not only
So,
one of
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but he said, and that's preciousness for me.
Absolutely
Absolutely, yeah.
precious. And this is what I'm saying about honour. So there is a difference, isn't there? So the honour here is, and Islamically and the Prophet, the examples of him with his daughters, the examples of him with his wives, is that he absolutely honoured them, you
Yes.
know, and showed respect and love and care. And they weren't his slaves, they weren't his
Not at all, yeah.
housekeepers, you know. And it's a shame that it was equal. So you could see, you know, in his relationship with Khadija, that actually it was an equal relationship. You know,
Yes.
he was courted and he said yes, and they had a really meaningful and powerful, long-lasting, you know, relationship. And we need to revisit some of that and understand what that means, because in there is an example. So recently I was very, very fortunate last year, alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah, I was invited to go to Hajj, and
MashaAllah.
on one of these journeys, one of the people in our party, one of the leaders, said, there's the mountain, that's where the Prophet used to go and meditate, and his wife used to take him lunch, and from that what you should learn is that's what women have to do for their husbands. And honestly, I was so, you know, Allah forgive me, but I was so cross when I heard, because I was like, and where's the rest of the story? You know, why would she do that? If she didn't love him, care for him, respect him, believe in his, you know, mission, why would she climb so many, you know, like hundreds of feet up a really steep, terrible journey to do so? It's because she also felt loved, cared for, respected, believed, you know, and it's a two-way thing, isn't it?
It is. It's actually, basically, it's not Islam, it's a society. It's a society thing that our, you know, men's, their mentality is very limited, I'm sorry, very low, we can say. Some of, yes, not all of them, obviously. But they have to change.
Yeah. And that change may seem scary, it isn't, because it's beautiful, isn't it? So just like, look at your dad, if he'd limited you, then you become the, you would have maybe stayed at home, maybe not have educated, and then who's his source of pride, you know?
Yeah, I was too young at that time.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and all this goodness, there's
and
all
so
this...
is a very small city, it's not that a big city, you know, an international city.
Yeah.
So if you think about that scenario,
and
that thing was amazing.
It would have limited you from having an impact, inshallah, a positive impact, on all those hundreds of children that you've taught over your lifetime. And they may now be out in the world as, you know, they could be farmers, but they could be teachers, they could be, you know, politicians, you know, whatever they're doing.
Whatever they want to,
hopefully, you know, inshallah, as well as instilling subject knowledge, you help them learn a little bit more about the moral compass, what's right and wrong, and how to work things out and be ethical, moral people, because teaching is more than just saying A, B, C, D. You know, it's helping people learn how to navigate in a complicated world and be good human beings.
It's a very noble profession, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he was a Maulam as well. He was a teacher, so we should respect it. And it's a duty of the teachers. You know, they should educate themselves first, and then to the society, to the children, to the people.
So just to finish my story about my Hajj experience, anyway, the next day, and I went back to base, I had a word with my husband, you know, God love him, bless him, he's very patient with me. And I said, you know, what that person said, you know, the leader, it's not fair because it's half the story. That Islam is a marriage is an equal thing. So he needs to go back and he needs to finish it off, and he needs to explain what a man's duty is towards a woman. Because it's not all one-sided, and Islam isn't one-sided. It's not all about man's rights over women. Anyway, alhamdulillah, I'm pleased to say he did go back and have a word with him. I did also threaten him, because I said, if you won't talk to him, then I will go and talk to him directly, because it's unfair, and I see it as a form of oppression, because if you only tell one half of a story, you're telling the side that suits you, but it needs to suit everybody else. And I must say, alhamdulillah, this is that thing about being brave. But when you see wrong happening, you need to step in. So in my relationship, alhamdulillah, I'm okay, but that's not good enough for me, because if other women are struggling, and in our party, you know, Allah make it easy for them, there were some women who were struggling with not very healthy relationships. So I followed up after that again and said to my husband, I have now found out, lots of people tell me things. I think I've got that kind of face, so lots of ladies were telling me things.
Knowledge is power, you see.
Yeah. And, you know, I insisted and I said to my other half, I said, you must talk to this chap. And if you want, I will go and talk to him about what we need to do. So, yeah.
You did the right thing,
really, yeah, absolutely. But again, because that man was a really good person, he was like, oh, yeah, I see what I did wrong. And he started. So anyway, we're going to finish shortly, just a few minutes. Would you have one short poem to finish us off with?
Right, okay, yeah. What should I... it's a dua. I'll finish with dua. Teri rahmat, teri raza ki. तेरी रहमत तेरी रज़ा की चादर हर सू तनी हुई है, हर एक तेरी तरफ तकता है, हर एक तेरी तरफ तकता है, जब भी कोई मुश्किल आए तुझ पे भरोसा है मेरे मालिक, दुनिया जो भी कर दिखलाए, जब तक तेरी रज़ा ना होगी दुश्मन क्या कर लेगा मेरा, तुझसे हर पल यही दुआ है, अपनी रहमत अपने करम से इस दुनिया और उस दुनिया में मेरी इज्जत रखना मौला.
MashaAllah.
Amin summa amin.
Thank you. That is a beautiful note to finish on.
Thank you very much.
I wish you good luck and do keep writing. And
thank you so very much.
If people want to contact you, they can ask us for your details. We can put you in touch. Otherwise, you're on a local radio show. And thank you very much. Inshallah, see you next week. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum.